This is Daf Chav Gimel, the Daf Yerushalmi, the article Oz V'Hodar edition. Starting from the second line from the top, Amar Rabbi Zira. In the Vilna, it is Yud Aleph Amar Aleph, the fourth line before the Mishnah, Amar Rabbi Zira. And the Pnei Moshe's pshat in this Gemara is difficult. Reb Chaim's pshat is much more glatt. So we're going to go with Reb Chaim on this. So Reb Chaim said, going with Reb Chaim, Rabbi Zira is saying another nafkamina between the Chavraya and Rabbi Law from yesterday. The Chavraya say that the Chavraya b'shem Yochanan and Rabbi Law b'shem Rabbi Yochanan. Chavraya named Rabbi Yochanan said that the reason why the Mocher Bedaka has to be sell, has to take over the Demai is because children buy from him. And according to Rabbi Law, b'shem Rabbi Yochanan, the reason why the Mocher Bedaka has to go to take over from the Demai is because he's making more money. So therefore, he has to take up the Demai. So now, Rabbi Zira said cheshbon schar beinayim. The cheshbon of how much money you'll make is between the two of them. Also, mother lo sale in ravine. He was supposed to tell him to sell him a saw. So buys a saw, but normally a saw is a midah midah gasa. So normally we would say that the mocher doesn't have to take off the money, the ma'aser sheni, as we said in the Mishnah. So, but the Ina Ravai, he sold it in quarter measures. Even though the purchase was a saw, he measured it out, revia. And since he measured out revia, so therefore he's making more money. He's selling, even though he's supposed to sell wholesale, he's selling at retail. I guess Lokach agreed to this. Since the mocher makes more money, this he takes off the Demai. Conversely, Madalo Ravine, Leon saw, in other words, he really the Lokach was buying in a ravine, right, which is a quarter. But for some reason, in the end, he got measured out a full saw in one shot. So even though he was bought b'mida daka, and therefore the mocher he initially intended to buy b'mida daka for them, perhaps not at the same time, but that's why they were doing it in four different ravine. But in any event, that was the original agreement. In the end, it ended up being a mida gasa. So in that case, since when the mida gasa the lokach makes money, lokach mafresh lokach takes the lokach, the buyer is the one who has to take off the mai. Okay, so again, in both these cases, according to Chevraya, it would make no difference, because since this mocher normally sells bedaka, so therefore, because we're talking about a chenvani, so therefore it doesn't matter. It's always a pop, but whatever happens to now bagasa, right? Then, if you happen to sell bagasa, he's a daka seller. He happens to sell this now bagasa, still kids are buying from him. Conversely, if it's a saw seller and he's supposed to buy, and now he's sold by quarters, so then the kids might not buy from him because he's a wholesaler. But it's not situational. But again, according to the Rabbi Ilan and Rabbi Yochanan, so it depends on the situation, right? If he's even if he normally sells dakov, this time he sold gasa, so he doesn't have to take off. The mocher doesn't have to take off the trumas and maisos. If he's normally sells gasa, but this time he sells that's what I just said. No, normally sells gasa, and then this time he sells daka, so then he does the take off the trumas and maisos. Okay, so let me say one point again, which is the seller who sells b'mida daka, he's the one by whom the children are to be found. Whereas according to Yeah, all right. I think we got it straight. Um, although actually not. According to Reb Chaim, says that if the mocher is model seal in Ravine, if the mocher sold him a saw, midagasa, but in Ravine, or he sold him a saw which was which didn't have a lot of extra, which will come to in a minute. The mocher is mistaker, so then the mocher is mimaplish. I think Reb Chaim is learning that according to Chabraya, I don't know if I like this. I think according to Chabraya, it, it's not a situation. It depends where the kids will come to buy daka. They won't come to buy gasa. Doesn't matter how. It doesn't matter what the normal derech of the moicher is. If the moicher's normal derech is to sell gasa, but now I send daka, kids will come. Moicher's normal derech is to sell daka, but now I send gasa, the kids won't come. So if he's saying that if the mocher is normal, that's not how that works. That's not going to work. I have to, no. Let's just learn. I'm not sure what I'm saying with this. Let's go back to what I said before and let's say it again. In a case where this mocher normally sells full meter gasa, and this time he happened to sell meter gasa, with the meter daka, sorry. So he's the kids don't come there. So if the kids don't come there because he normally sells a meter gasa, so then according to the Chabrai, he doesn't take up Chumas and Maestros, the Maestros, Maester Sheni. If but according to Rabbi Law, since he's making more money, yes, he does have to take off the Maestro. Right? Conversely, somebody normally sells Mida Daka, right? He normally sells Mida Daka, but now he's sold Mida Gasa this one time. So therefore, he sold the ravine in a saw. So therefore, since according to the Chabraya, well, the kids come to him, so therefore he has to always take off Chumas and Maisos. But according to the Maisos Sheni, according to Rabbi Law, no, since he's making since Lokech is making the money in this case, so therefore the Mocher does not have to take off the Maiser, Lokech does. Now, the reason, evidently, why there is why Midagasa is considered to be a benefit for Lokeach as opposed to Midadaka is because of the Godesh, because of what heaps up on top of the pile. So it heaps up on top of the pile in the small measures is small, and for small measures, the four small measures heap does not equal the same as one measure, which has a heap, which is four times the size of the four small measures. So therefore, in a gasa, the mocha is giving more, and therefore he's making less because of the heap on top of this large keli. Whereas in a daka, the mocha, the kona is getting less because the four small heaps don't equal one large heap, and therefore, in that case, the mocher is making more money. He has to take off the meiser. Okay, halacha. Me'omer shadaka limdo b'daka modo b'gasa tfela daka l'gasa. Right. So like we said, it's basically what we just learned. Normally, if a person's derech is to measure in daka, and he measured b'gasa, so the tfela daka l'gasa. But the way we go after the way the Mishnah reads, so we go after now, right? In other words, like we just learned, yeah. We go after the gasa. Now, what he's doing now. Same thing, go after what he's doing now. So, Amida Gasa in dry is 3 kav. Dinar. Lach, it's the value of a dinar. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Sali Tainim, Sali Novi, and Kubal Shel Yerek, Kozman Shuhu Mochron Akasra Potur. So the bags of baskets of figs, of grapes, and buckets of vegetables, as long as he sells them by estimate, he's potter. Because evidently by estimate, the mocher is like mocher begasa. Moshe says, "Ein alach Rabbi Yossi in this respect." Okay, says the Gemara, "Al daiti dahai tana, nosnu shir yavesh below nosnu shir lelach." According to this time, they gave a shear in volume for yavesh, but not for lach. Lach they gave a shear in money, a dinar's worth. Excuse me. Nosnu damim lelach, right? We measure the lach by in monetary value, and not and not and Velona nu dami yavish. I didn't get that. Okay, so it says going further. Tiny Reb Chia gave different measures. Said hin midagasa. I mean, hin lamata, anything below hin is a midadaka. Toman is midadaka. Now the Radah says Toman is the name of a coin. So this goes. So if you said, and by lach we went by coinage, by value, not by volume. So the taman midadaka, mina taman lamal. If it's more than a taman, then it's midagasa. Al daite dadein tanya nosnu shilach v'lo nosnu shil yavish. So the actually, sorry, I missed a point here. This point is the a hin is a measure of volume by liquids, whereas taman, evidently in this case, is it's not. We just said liquids is volume, so it must be, and we're using a coin, so it must be by default that a coin is the meter by yovish, is the determining factor by yovish. That's what Gemara says that according to this time brisa, nosu shir lach, by lach they gave a volume. V'lo nosnu shir liyavish, and didn't give a share of volume by dry. Nosu dam liyavish, they gave a share of value to the dry. V'lo nosnu dam lach, and not to the moist. The reason for this, I have to look up here. According to Bnei Moshe, it's a question of what's more stable or what's more volatile. So the one Tana holds that the price of grain is very stable, and therefore we went by the shear, right, by the measure. But the price of liquid is very volatile, and therefore we said whatever sells for this value couldn't go by volume because it would constantly be in flux because of the changing price. And evidently the other Tana holds the opposite. That by and I guess it's not really even a machlekes necessarily, but in his place the shear of the price of grain was volatile, and the price of the price of liquids was the price of yavish was volatile. The price of lach was stable. Okay. There's more. Rabbi Yom Shem tonight based in who she had chumas meisim shem moicher. So tonight based in that which you learned in the previous Mishnah, that the chumas meiser is from the seller. Meiser shenim shalokech, and meiser shenim is from the buyer. Manon Kami, what are we talking about? We just said in the previous Mishnah, im b'mida daka hoel b'mochem mistaker. If it is in the he measures he sells in small measures, since the seller makes more money. Amochem afish. So the seller sets aside the ma'aser sheni. B'mida gasa, if he sells in a large measure, hoel b'mochem mistaker, since the buyer has the advantage. Halokech mafish. So the buyer gets has to take off the chuma, the ma'aser sheni. So how can it be one Tanai based in? Where he's saying that the mocher takes off other things, the chumas meiser and the challah, and the buyer takes off the meiser sheni. It depends on the situation. So Amar Bibun Barachiati Potter Omer Lo Michnaso. So the Sharath explains that the baker baked bread from his own grain and not from what he took from a wholesaler. So in that case, there's no nafkamina between gasa and daka. But so in that case, and the Sharath explains that the baker takes off the ma'aser sheni, but al the cheshbon of the buyer. So evidently, when he has to buy from the wholesaler, then it depends if he sells daka or gasa. But he takes from his own grain, so then it's always stable. It's always the same thing. That Shumas and Meiser and Challah are in his cheshbon, whereas the Meiser Sheni is on the cheshbon of the buyer. It's a nice pshat. Let's see what Chaim says. So according to this, Bomelo machna so from his own what he gathered himself. Um, let's see what he says here. It's a different. It says a totally different shot. Okay, we'll go with the Shai Torah's Eretz Yisrael. So, so it says so even it's not from his own a stockpile grain, but Omer bedaito nitkan. So he says, let's see, pay motion on this. Nitkan tfu zu perus elu be'omdan hadas. Ze amud avli chen omin lo tnai basinu de bestam mechira kazu achumas meiser hi mishal moicher meiser sheni shalokeach. So he says that this he assumes that the assumption is already taken off. No, the assumption is not good. I don't like that shot so much. So the I can't go to Reb because it brings in Amoritz and Chaver. Here's of the Rosh Cirilio, which by the way is where the art scroll goes as well, is a Omer Midato, not Bidato. And the Rosh Cirilio explains that even if the buyer says, you know what, I'll take off the Trumas Meiser, I'll take off the Challah, I'll take care of all the Trumas and Meisers. I want the mitzvah. So no, we don't. It's a person who's buying bedaka. He says even though I'm buying bedaka, I want to take off the Trumas Meiser and the Challah. So Challah, let's leave out of this. I want to take off the Trumas Meiser. So in that case, nevertheless, Afa Bichen, Amalot Tanai based in Shatei Trumas Meiser Shal Moicher Meiser Shem Shalokech. No, so the Tanai based in that he's specific. It's that Kona, presumably in order to keep the Mocher honest, that he should take off the Trumas Meiser, and you only take the Meiser Sheni. Okay, Rabbi Lezer Shem Rabbi Yosha said Tanai based in Achele Mishtal Tabach. But Tanai based in once Tanai based in that the volume taken up by the chaleb, by the fat, so that loss comes from the tabach sustains that loss. You see, if there's too much fat, he has to deduct from the price. The Giranosha the Giranosha is it's a lokech has to sustain the loss, meaning that if he buys a yerach with a Giranosha, so then he can't say, well, I can't eat. No, he still has to. He still has to sustain the loss. He need Rabbi Avo b'kisaron. Avo made a kisaron. Shushneim shalokech. The both should be from lokech. In other words, the buyer should also absorb the loss of the chalev of the fats. What did I say before? I said too much fat. I'm sorry. I don't think I said it wrong. the chalev, but the usher chalev is mishal tabach. Of course, that's what it means. Also, in other words, if he sells meat which has the usher chalev, he has to suffer the loss. Right? It's not part of the volume. Can't calculate as part of the volume. In Russia, it lokech's loss. So in case Sorin, they're both from lokech lost on both. They both come from lokech's part. King Dihavun Marbin Tabus. So it's interesting. Different pshatim here. Marbin Tavus. The the Pnei Moshe says that Kadeshu Megarin Achele Betov, to make sure that they take off the chelev very well, and because the butcher does the trabering, he takes off the chelev in any event. But if he had to deduct for all of the chelev, which he took off, he had to deduct all of the chelev. If he deduct all of the chelev, so then he would try and be scrimp and save, right? In order, and he's not going to do a proper trabering. So therefore, Marbin, and he explains along those lines. That's a very creative shot. The Truma Rash says no. It's talking about it's about Truma. It's going back to Demai, saying Trumas Ma'aser Ma'aser Sheni is the Lokeach takes off in order that they should give the Mocha should sell more, right? Marbin Tabus, he should give more in order that because he said he is exempted from taking off the Trumas of Ma'aser and Ma'aser Sheni. The Chaim goes with the Graz Girsa. Begin to have not Marbin Tavus but Medakin Tavus, and that's also he learns that that's Medakin is I don't know. Moshe was okay with Marbin, and that Marbin should mean that to trader properly. It says language of moreover Rabu. And Eov also Isobala Rabu Targumol Yechazrun Allah Ale Garde Chetzio. I guess and anyway it's a lashon somehow dragging or piercing. But they didn't like that and he changed it to Medakin. But in the same meaning. Medakin is a lashon of Nikor for some reason, which is more so than Megarin, according to the Gra. But it was up to me. I would say that here I voke essentially Shneim Michel Lokeach begin the Havun Marbin Tavus means that the Yavun is a problem. I was going to say that because they sold with the benefit of the Lokech. They sold a lot. In other words, they sold it at a cheap price to begin with. So therefore, in order to encourage them, I guess to continue to do that. So therefore, they said, let Lokech take on himself the volume of the Chalev and the volume of the Gir Nasha. So beginning of Marbin Tavus means that in order that they keep down the price of meat, in order that the Mocha should get more meat for the money, they said, let Lokech take the hit on both Gir Nasha and the Chalev. That's how I have to say the pshat. Okay, next Mishnah. Next Hadron El Dvarim. You can give aniyim and achsania, the guests, demai. We'll give his workers demai. They were poor. Gaboy tzedakah. Beishamri nosim esam usar l'sheina ma'aser. They give take off ma'aser for those who then would not take off ma'aser themselves. And they give that which is not that which is not meiser to somebody who they know will take off meiser. So everybody is eating properly. Chachomim go mit stam, mechalkim stam. We collect generically and we distribute generically, and we don't put the and we don't what's attacking, and someone wants to fix it, should fix it. So of course this is a talking about Demai, not about Vadai. So it's saying that the Shammai said that well at the beginning of the mission we said Machlim Sadniyim Demai. So Beis Shammai said, well, if not really, Shemaiser that which you're going to give to people who Daka to Meiser and vice versa. And the Chacham say no, like we said in the beginning, and we don't make a cheshbon. So, take the Mai, give the Mai. If someone wants to machlim themselves, they should machlim themselves. We'll stop here for today.